safety management systems are based on an outcome-based result. We say to operators, you develop a system that helps to ensure safety in cases where risks and hazards exist. Demonstrate that that system works. Demonstrate, most importantly, that you're complying with the terms of your own system, and you've achieved the outcome. You own it, but you've got to put the time in to make it work.
Every organisation to varying degrees has been managing safety since they've been in existence. Once operators understand the fundamentals of what SMS is trying to achieve and how it can be achieved, then it can be a real driver for how the organisation is set up. In terms of writing an exposition, if you can get an SMS in place first on how risk is going to be managed to achieve a safe outcome, then that would be a good starting point, and then start writing your exposition to be tailored off what your SMS is trying to drive and the systems in place that your SMS is brought in.
So we say that an exposition is the full set of documentation. So the regulations call up that things like an operations manual or a training and checking manual or a safety management system manual all form part of the exposition. In our information sheet on expositions, we describe that an operator has flexibility. They could build an exposition simply as a master document that sits across the top, or they could combine all of their existing manuals into a single document. An exposition is really important, but there is some misunderstanding. An exposition does not need to be a scary document. It's certainly not. It is a document that we want to just tie all of the documentary suite together to give it style, to give it substance, and to demonstrate how the operator is going to go about doing their business to comply with the regulation and to deliver the outcome.
Our initial concept of the exposition was that we were really just pulling the parts out of our manual and putting some binding rings on, and there it was. But when we considered things like the fatigue management implications to sit on top of our safety management system, when it talked about the quality of staff training, how to amend things in Part B to future-proof us for different types of operation, all those meant that we actually had to go back and make sure that our SMS was embracive enough to be able to capture what was required to adapt to the change and forecast problems. But in order for it to be effective, it needs to actually be a way of doing business, a living set of documents that informs decision making inside the business. So for us, the process of change has meant that we need to look through the safety lens and understand that any change, any period of discontinuity can mean that, oh, you have a hole in the cheese. How do you organisationally put the methods in place, the tools, the reporting, in order to try and raise the defensive barriers?
To support the aviation community, what CASA has done is done the heavy lifting in terms of the transition for 141 and 142. So with regards to an exposition, CASA has actually written a sample template based on a fictitious organisation called Sample Aviation. And in fact, a 142 operator that maybe has 20 safety sensitive personnel could essentially grab that off the CASA shelf and adapt that in a short period of time to their business.
Every regulation is a mitigator to a risk. So if an operator can understand what their own hazards are, perhaps they'll have a better understanding of what the regulation, what it's actually trying to mitigate, what hazard it's actually trying to reduce for their organisation. And if you can understand that, if you can see that regulations are just a hazard or a risk mitigator, and then writing any procedure that's there to comply with the regulation rather than it being just a sort of tick box exercise or something that has to be done because a reg says you've got to do it, to understand why you're actually trying to comply with the regulation because it's trying to mitigate a risk, I think that'd be pretty important. At the end of the day, it'll achieve a more effective exposition for the organisation.
It helps to integrate safety-related decision-making into business decision-making, and that's a very healthy place to be, rather than I'll do my business work first and now, oh yes, I guess I better stick the safety bit on afterwards. It makes it one process, or it helps to make it one process.
With all of this regulation reform and the need to comply, we're going to take this opportunity to completely review all of our document suite. The advantages to us of having a safety management system are naturally the improved focus and safety outcomes. So being able to capture safety-related data in a way that can then be analysed and produce, benefits for our organisation. We don't require an SMS, so we can tailor what we have to suit our business, but we have been able to leverage a lot of the information that is provided by CASA and that is out in industry around the benefits and the setting up and the administration of a safety management system to add value to our business. If we look at moving into Part 142 in the future where that sort of thing's required, we'll already have it, we're already there. So yeah, we have sort of future-proofed, if you like, or put some runs on the board in that direction before we start.
SMS now is a keystone to an operation. If they haven't got a decent SMS system under today's environment, it's very difficult for them to have a decent operation. Those operators that have had the SMS prior to 142 are probably finding it slightly easier to transition, regardless of perhaps the quality of that SMS system. At least they've probably had a chance to get their heads around the concept before transition.
Is this an opportunity for us to really test that we have got best practice in place? Is it at a standard that will keep our people, our clients and our external stakeholders safe? And if there is a risk, why is it there? And keep asking those whys until you can actually address the root cause of change. If you find that you've got a cogent, sustainable, cost-effective solution at that stage, that's great. Did you have that before you asked the questions? Possibly not. Was it worth the time? Clearly.